In this video, I will give you every player that you need to succeed plus bonus options for the main slate on FanDuel for Week 7 of the NFL this October 25th, 2020. My name's Quick Pick Nick, and having compared every player's projection and price on FanDuel, here are your primary picks for this weekend. If you enjoy this kind of fast-paced, calculated content, subscribe and stay tuned for more lineup throughout the season, including an afternoon Turbo Slate video for DraftKings tomorrow, as well as a single-game video for Sunday night and Monday night football to follow. Starting off with our primary quarterback, my model selected MVP frontrunner Russell Wilson. After not receiving even a single vote for MVP consideration throughout his career, Wilson is the focal point of the MVP discussion for this 2020 season, and this admiration is well deserved. Mr. Unlimited is averaging the most fantasy points per game by a large margin as the only quarterback or even just player in general in the league to surpass 30 fantasy points per game, and facing a weak Arizona defense on Sunday is all the more reason to take Wilson here. Plus, he's not even the most expensive option on FanDuel, ranking as just the third most expensive quarterback in this slate. If you're not sold on Wilson though and want to go cheaper, a couple of secondary quarterbacks who might be worth looking at are the quarterback on the other side of the ball, Kyler Murray, who also has a favorable matchup against the Seahawks team who tends to allow high-scoring shootouts, and Deshaun Watson, who's even further down the list but has thrown for over 300 yards over the past 3 weeks going up against a Green Bay defense who was exposed by resident senior citizen Tom Brady over in Tampa Bay. For the primary running backs, my model chose Kareem Hunt and JD McKissic. Out of this entire slate, Hunt was by far the most clear-cut, underpriced, most valuable player I could find, as he costs $2,400 less than the top option on FanDuel, yet should be able to score just as many points, if not more, than any other back, as Hunt remains the lone running back in Cleveland, a very run-heavy offense going into Cincinnati, a defense which ranks 28th against the rush in the league. As for McKissic, it seems that although he is not the workhorse running back in Washington who carries the ball often, McKissic is being employed as a very effective receiving back hybrid, recording 6 or more receptions during the past 3 contests. Dallas shouldn't be problematic at all for anyone at this point, and McKissic will be able to continue his high production through the air in this NFC East who can suck less matchup. Some secondary options at this position include Jerick McKinnon, who will assume a bigger part of the running back by committee in San Francisco with Raheem Mostert sideline, Antonio Gibson, who is Washington's workhorse running back that gets a solid amount of carries and attempts in each game, Devin Singletary with the easy week against the tanking Jets, and David Johnson, playing for a team without a coach that will likely resort to a simpler approach on the ground. Moving on to the wide receivers, our primaries here will be DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, and Devontae Adams. Metcalf made the cut because he is Wilson's explosive option down the field, and has managed at least one explosive play each game this season, lacking a touchdown in only one contest in 2020, a game in which Metcalf did have a clear, wide open lane to the end zone, but decided to showboat a bit too much, and karma had it that the defense forced a fumble at the last second, ruining his perfect touchdown score sheet. My model picked Samuel because he clearly remains the 49ers' favorite target even after coming back from his injury, recording 8 targets a couple of weeks ago and accumulating 6 receptions just last week. We do have a lot of money left at this point, which is why it's worth spending the extra FanDuel cash on Adams, but he in particular was chosen because of Rodgers' connection with Adams, recording 17 and 10 targets in the 2 full games he's played this season. The secondaries at wide receiver include Keenan Allen, LA's wide receiver 1 with a good matchup against Jacksonville, Tyler Boyd, who's seemingly the most reliable pass option in Cincinnati at this point, Tyler Lockett, who's the more consistent reception-heavy counterpart to Metcalf's long ball dependency, and AJ Brown, scoring over 17 fantasy points over the past 2 weeks, but facing a very stout Steelers secondary. The primary tight end here is George Kittle, as San Francisco has shown throughout the season that they need Kittle as a reliable option throughout the game, with Kittle totaling nearly 8 receptions per game, including one game where he reached 15 receptions. The secondary options here include a cheap option of Logan Thomas, who had a big game last week but hasn't shown definitive evidence of consistency, Eric Ebron, another cheap option with a bit more consistency but less red zone potential or yards per reception, and Hunter Henry, who is certainly reliable with 7 or 8 targets in all but one of his contests but is more expensive. At the flex position, I'll recommend a tertiary option, meaning this player can be swapped for any of the previous secondaries I mentioned in your lineup given an adjustment to the defense. That player is Jamison Crowder, the one remaining talent player in the whole state of New York, accumulating 7 or more receptions in all 4 of his games and dropping below 13 fantasy points just once, when Crowder still managed 8.5 fantasy points. With the remaining budget, we're able to get the Saints defense, who certainly aren't known for their lockdown potential but are rather cheap and have an easier matchup against Carolina. That's what my model was able to come up with for the main slate of the NFL on FanDuel this weekend on Sunday, October 25th. This has been Quick Pick Nick, the intersection for sports, data analysis, and speed. Thanks for watching.